Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'll be going over a couple smart contracts and projects today and hopefully shed some light and help empower you to understand what smart contracts are and understand how to read them and understand them a little bit. Um, but yeah, we'll dive right in and try and start getting some more videos up. So if you like the content, if you find it valuable, hit the like button, subscribe, comment below of any projects or smart contracts you want me to go over. I've been a software developer for about 10 years and just trying to help the space. I've seen lots of people lose money from rugs and just people not knowing what they're doing when they're writing a smart contract, and then they push it out and the liquidity gets drained and people are left holding the bag. So I want to help you guys so that this doesn't keep happening. And if a project is solid, you know, I'll help you understand. I'm not giving financial advice, but at least helping you understand the contract and, you know, being more empowered to know, okay, if I do put money in this, what's the risk? What are the chances that they could just pull out all the liquidity and money? So we'll start out with Seifu, which has had plenty of FUD around it in the last month. I know from the community standpoint, I follow them and their team is pretty involved. Brian Legend over there, make sure that people understand where they want to take things, and so having a roadmap, having an idea of what's coming next is really valuable, and helps going along with the smart contract, because the contract doesn't necessarily say everything. There's also the need for some sort of utility and other features, other things to help the community be engaged. As we get into the smart contract, so if you go to bscscan.com, and I'll provide links in the description, but you can search on any token and see what the contract is. You can see all the transactions happening on it. So I'll just show you for Seifu. If you just go to the docs and you click on their Seifu token, so this is essentially their white paper. If you click on Seifu token in the nav, they provide the smart contract address. So if we copy this, go to bscscan.com and paste in the address, it will come up and we can take a look at Seifu. You can also, for some of them, you can search. So you can type Seifu, here it is, same contract, and click onto it, and there we go. If we click on the contract tab, we can dig into more of what exactly is happening behind the scenes. So there's lots of libraries. This is all written in Solidity. Libraries are generally just copy paste within the crypto space. And then you've got some different interfaces for PancakeSwap or Uniswap, some DEX or decentralized exchange. And then there'll be an ownable section, the token interface, and then we actually get to the token. A lot of the times the token piece is at the very bottom, but it always will depend on how things get compiled together. So for Seifu, you just have, essentially these are just a bunch of variables of information that may or may not be interactable based on a public or private. Anything public you can see. So you could actually hit this smart contract, and maybe I'll do a video in the future on how to write just a quick little application to hit a contract and see what some of these values are. But essentially, as you go through here, you have this constructor that's run when the contract is deployed out, and these values are all set. So it's using PancakeSwap. Here's the router, which for pretty much every project will be the same in a production environment or a live website. They've got the different addresses that you could also copy these into BSC scan. I'm not going to go into them really, but you can look at all the transactions happening. You can see, like on this one, up in the top, you see the balance that's in the contract. So 104 BNB or $41,000 is currently in the Seifu contract, but that's because there's money in their liquidity pool, which is in PancakeSwap. And then through the different addresses that they had in that initial deploy out, they have these different addresses. And then as we go down, we can look at, you know, all these different functions. We've got this set auto rebase, if it's enabled or not. You know, should it add liquidity? So there's tons of different automated processes that happen as transfers happen, as the rebase happens. So here's the rebase function. So this is essentially run internally on every transfer, and as a transfer happens, this rebase is called and determines if it's been 15 minutes from the last time the rebase happened. And if it's been, you know, 30, 45 minutes since rebase or whatever, they have this nice little block of code that will make up for any lost rebases that hadn't happened. So that's nice. This is essentially a fork of Titano with added features, and Titano did not have an automated rebase via a transfer from or a smart contract. So, you know, building this in with Seifu, much more confident that they know what they're doing. So that's a good thing. But there's different functions like adding liquidity, where it's swapping tokens around, splitting 50-50 on adding liquidity of 50 of BNB and 50 of the Seifu token. And basically these are all just a bunch of different functions that can be called. They can update the liquidity pair address. So if for some reason they wanted to switch to another decentralized exchange, or change to a different liquidity pair, or add a new pair, or I guess they can't add a new pair in this sense, but if they wanted to change the pair, they can do it through here, through this set LP or set pair address. But yeah, overall, there's no real red flags in this contract, which is always nice to see. And we'll get into some other ones where there's some glaring red flags and you should probably never put a dime into those projects, but we'll get into that in a moment. But overall, pretty decent smart contract. They seem to know what they're doing, and the community is enjoying the different interactions from the team. So having those interactions with a solid contract generally leads to success. The next one we'll get into, we've got the DiamondHandProtcol. This is an interesting one, but you know, basically you have the same information that Seifu has, and you also have essentially the exact same contract. So if we come in here and take a look, the DiamondHandProtcol contract, if we go all the way to the bottom of this, it's 921 lines. And here we go, Seifu one, look at it, 921 lines. And you can see essentially we're looking at the exact same thing. So a fork, complete copy. The only thing that I saw changed as I went through this contract was they updated the liquidity receiver, treasury, all these different addresses. So you still have the pancake swap router. That's the exact same thing, which is what I would expect. And they just updated the addresses. Complete copy. You can see the rebase is the same. It's 15 minutes. So they just took, okay, said Seifu's been successful, let's copy it. Complete copy. For DiamondHandProtcol though, and sometimes it gets a little difficult, especially depending on their white paper. So I went through some of their white paper and I didn't really see any information on the token, which was a little surprising. I mean, usually in most white papers they have the token addresses, but I didn't for this one. So I just went to Pink Sale, found their they have their pre-sale address and their token address, so I just clicked on their token address and that takes you into their DiamondHandProtcol contract, and you can see all the transactions. Everything's pretty much, like I said, exactly the same with Seifu. So if you're confident in Seifu, I mean, I don't know as much about the DiamondHandProtcol community, as I haven't been a part of theirs yet. Seifu, I've been on their Discord, and with all these projects, you can usually find all their social media. So they have their Discord server, their Twitter, and Telegram usually. I mean, Seifu, I don't think they're very active on Telegram, but so Diamond Hand, you know, is essentially the same thing, where you can come in, find their social media. Well, maybe they don't have one, but yeah, there's their pancake swap, so you can switch on or trade it on pancake swap. But yeah, it's always good to go through the white paper on every one of these projects. You know, they're claiming a 921,000% return for 12 months. And while that seems amazing, just remember that these are auto stake protocols. They're rebasing every 15 minutes. And with the rebase, everybody's just getting tokens over and over and over. As people start selling, the liquidity is going to start dropping. And so you really need to watch out for these awesome claims and, you know, say, oh, I'm going to hold for 12 months and get a almost 1,000,000% return. It's all smoke and mirrors with these percentages. You just got to watch yourself. The higher the percent, the higher likelihood that you're going to be left holding the bag. So, you know, make sure you're looking at the smart contracts and making sure there's nothing in there where they can just pull out. But, you know, checking out the white paper, looking at the roadmap, you know, what things do they have? Oh, they have a reflection token that they want to do. They want to get onto CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, increase their holders. So, you know, understanding how they're going to do it and what they're going to do is really helpful in, you know, determining whether or not you are even interested in taking part in a community. You know, they've got the tokenomics, which is always good to see. You know, with these rebase tokens, you're going to see high taxes or, you know, lots of money that's ideally going into the liquidity. You know, they're saying it's going into the buyback or insurance fund a large percentage, which is good. You know, they're set up to automate that, as they just completely copied Seifu, which also has it baked in. So those are some good things to look for, but you always got to be careful. You know, through Pink Sale, you have the pre-sale amount, you have an unlocked section, a burnt, the liquidity. Like, this is where you got to be really careful. None of this is locked up, and so, you know, if their team has a ton of tokens, they could really sell and drop the price a lot. So just be careful, be cognizant of, you know, some of these things. Put all the pieces together. Watch the pink sale if you're not taking part in it, you know, and see how it's going to go. But yeah, that's the Diamond Hand Protocol. And yeah, we'll get into another one that people have talked about, and that's the WallStreetFinance. So obviously you can see this thing has taken a nice dip. Not what you want to see. You know, it got up to, you know, we're talking getting close to 20% down, or sorry, 50% down from, you know, a peak in April 13th. So that's definitely a concern. It's not looking all that great. And you know, that's one of the things to also look at are the charts. But a lot of times, you know, the only reason I will get into a chart is if I really believe that, you know, this is a good project, there's really some possibilities here, where's my entry point, and find a good spot. So like the other ones, you know, basically we have a copy of other contracts. This is, you know, March 28th, so hasn't even been around that long and already has a pretty big dip that it's gone through. But we can look through the token. You know, it's essentially looking a lot like Seifu and Diamond Hand Protocol and all these rebase projects. They did make some changes to the rebase, which, you know, nothing bad really, just some different math of how they're doing the rebase. They don't really have any glaring red flags either. You know, there's all these different functions for the liquidity and everything that's supposed to happen. And I mean, essentially you're looking at yet another fork of Seifu. That's just a copy. They did make some changes with the rebase because they're trying to have a rebase that, you know, happens more frequent or at a different interval. And so, you know, again, with these rebase ones, just got to be careful, because the more tokens that start going out, the more likely it is that somebody's going to be like, well, why don't I just dump all these tokens I got for free, and, you know, it's going to drain the liquidity for the project. So, you know, those are things to look out for. Again, no real issues. You know, they do have this manual rebase, which you really don't want to be a part of a project that has a manual rebase. But if we look, let's see here, they have in the transfer from, which this is also in Seifu and Diamond Hand, every transfer they check to see if a rebase should happen. And basically as the transfer happens, if it rebases, the rebase happens, and then it finishes the rest of the transfer, which may be a sell or buy of a token that somebody's doing. But yeah, essentially same, nothing too different. The last one I'm going to go through today, and then, you know, like I said, hopefully some other videos on more of these projects. And, you know, again, in the comments section, add, you know, different tokens, different projects you want me to go over, and I can do some research and put out some videos on them and start adding some more information to some of these projects. But here's a water token, WaterFinance, and things did not go well for them. And if we look at their smart contract, there are red flags all throughout this contract. So we have this WaterFinance contract. We've got different information, different, it's not quite the same kind of rebase, but like Seifu and the other three I've talked about. But they come in here and they do all these crazy things that you do not have to do. And like this gets into red flags of people who are trying to really reinvent the wheel, and the stuff just does not make sense. They just over-engineer. Like they've got all these different contracts that are just filled with stuff that you don't need, and it overcomplicates things, leads to not really understanding what they're trying to do, or what they want to do with their contract, because they're just over engineering it, because they're not understanding some basic concepts of solidity. And let's see, as we get in here, we have so this is, sorry, there's multiple contracts for them, but here's the water one. Yeah, this is the one we want to look at. Sorry, some of these projects also, they try and split stuff out into, tons of different contracts, and I don't know. You can tell some people don't really know what they're doing, and it kind of gets frustrating, especially if you're looking for a good project to just keep running into these. You're like, man, I just don't understand what you're trying to do. But if we look in here, so generally in every constructor, in the beginning of every contract that gets deployed, you have an initial mint. So tokens will get minted. You'll have the supply, it gets sent somewhere. In this case, like most of these other ones, transfer ownership is going to the treasury receiver. But within their contract, they have some pretty glaring issues. First off, a copy from Titano, there was this clear stuck balance. I don't know about you guys, but I have never heard of a token getting stuck anywhere. There is no reason to ever clear a stuck balance. And so, or this other function that's a rescue token. How do you rescue tokens? Like, essentially, this is set up to where the owner of the contract can take tokens and transfer them to the owner. Same with clearing the stuck balance. Essentially, you just pass in a percentage, address, tokens get transferred. That is very much set up for a rug, and they did essentially get rugged. So in here, so we've got this minter roles, and essentially what happened is, here in this minter role, they said you're either a minter if you are in that mint, or if you have this type hash. And so anybody that knows what this hash is can basically mint tokens. And so on on a mint, oh man, gotta love technology. So, come on. So, for the minter role, anywhere that there's somebody that is like this modifier only minter. Let's see, only minter. So there's this rewards, and only the minter can essentially transfer tokens to whichever recipient. And so they contracted with a guy, and the guy basically baked this in day before they launched. Didn't know what was going on. They launched, and this person was able to mint all the tokens they wanted, and they drained the account. So you always want to make sure, if there is anybody that has any minting functionality, you do not want to see, as a general rule, you don't want to see the mint function outside of the constructor. So in the constructor in the beginning, this is where you want all the minting to happen, and you really don't want any other minting happening. Because any minting that's going to happen, the minter essentially can decide how many tokens to mint and where they go, which dilutes the market. It's something, like, I understand why you may want minting. Say, you get to or you only want to start out with a number of tokens, and then as those get bought, you want to provide more and do that over time. But though, it's a red flag for a potential rug pull, because they could mint as many tokens as they want. Essentially, anybody could be sent those tokens, and then they just sell. And if they mint as many tokens as they want, they send it to themselves, they can essentially sell everything until the account's drained of all the BNB, or whatever token is added as the liquidity token with the contract, and essentially take everything. So really be careful if you see the minter roll anywhere. It's generally a red flag if it's outside of this constructor. You don't want anybody doing it. But yeah, so unfortunately, that's tens of thousands of dollars that people have lost because of, just people not really understanding what they're doing. And it leads to frustration on, anybody that is looking for or wanting to invest into one of these projects. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully you guys are able to, better understand smart contracts. Comment on any other projects you want me to go over, and as I get into more of a groove and system of how to do these, I'll be able to research more, add more information, for ones that are essentially just these copies, like DiamondHandProtcol of Seifu. It's essentially just, if you believe in this project, there's good possibility. Check out the community. How involved is the team? Again, that doesn't mean, I'm not telling you that, oh yeah, just buy the token. I'm not saying that. And with the majority of these, I don't even have any holdings. So it's really, as you understand the smart contract, as you trust that what you see is, positive or negative one way, when you see red flags like clear stuck token, where somebody essentially just copied another contract, they have no idea what it does. Clear stuck balance, rescue token, those are never anything that needs to happen. Minting roll, like, you shouldn't ever have anybody minting besides on the initial rollout of the contract. I know Drip has in their contract, which I'll go over another day, they have minting, and again, it can be a very big red flag. And I understand the desire to gradually increase the number of tokens available, but you are essentially diluting money, or diluting the tokens. And so think of inflation, where the Federal Reserve says, oh, print money, print. We need to increase the number of dollars out there, you know, give out free money like happened with stimulus checks. That's what minting is doing. So any minting, red flag. I can't stress that enough. That doesn't mean that there are only bad actors that use it, but it's set up for bad actors to easily do anything. And if there's an exploitation of a contract or of a private key, and you know the minter role, now somebody's able to take over it. I mean, how do you think these hacks happen? It's not that they take over a smart contract and exploit it in a lot of cases. I mean, that definitely can happen, but it's because of just not understanding what's going on, or copy paste from somewhere, and then, you know, somebody, you know, loses a private key or something, or somebody finds it. So yeah, again, hopefully this is helpful. I'll be doing more videos. Comment below, tell me what other projects you want me to do, and I'll see you in the next one.